Check. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Check. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Check. 1 2 1 2 1 2. All right. Gonna get started on time tonight for once. I think everything's working. Yay. We'll see. I think we'll go after this next song. Oh, duh.
Welcome to the Tea Party with Marty.
Stop that. Let's do the other one.
Welcome to the Tea Party with Marty Abernathy, a show starring a binary trans woman born in the body of a non-binary atheist, trade unionist, equality advocate, and anarcho syndicalist that self-identifies as an unhinged beer pimp, outrage brigade commander, free speech police officer, SJW, and a bad faith agent of chaos.
That's right. That's me. Welcome to the show tonight, everyone. Tonight's going to be kind of, I don't know. I think it's going to be a good show, actually. Going to have some productive conversations. Is it 9 o'clock yet? Oh, yes, it's 9:02. The annoying thing with this is we are now broadcasting live on Twitter, but I have to do it manually. I have to go in and basically set it. And so that's annoying. I forgot why I was going to say why it's annoying, but it's annoying. So yeah. Where was I going? Oh, der. Help the show. Go to teapartypodcast.com. Sign up to all the social medias that I'm on. Help boost me. One of the things you can do right now, if you're listening to the show, is give the show a like. That does help us. So that would be cool if you could do that. I'd appreciate it. Also, if you'd like to contribute, you can join the Patreon. That is actually on teapartypodcast.com. All one word, T and then party podcast. Not TEA, but just Tea Party. One word. Tea Party. Also, if you want to make a one-time donation, you can go to trans.fm or trans.fm. I still can't believe I got that URL. My friend and I, Ethan St. Pierre, we started Trans FM many, many moons ago. So went through different parts of it. We did a show called, well, I actually did the Tea Party back in 2003, but went on to do a show with Ethan called The Radical Trannies. We can say that because we're trans. You can't because you're not. Well, you might be. So if you are, you can. But yeah. But we did basically sodium pentothal Sunday. I mean, there was a lot of different stuff that we ended up doing on that show. We talked to a lot of cool people. A lot of people that were within the trans community in America early on. People like Monica Roberts, people like God. It makes me feel old just thinking about all the people that we talked to, but so many people in trans politics. Anyways, I don't want to get stuck on that. But I grabbed the URL trans.fm and it points right now to where you can donate. Which your donation will go back into the show. This is an anarchist / me podcast, video cast, YouTube channel, whatever you want to call it. I got a haircut today and I got to hit my hairstyle today, as I should say. But yeah, so starting the show off, right? By the way, we should probably do this first.
We're streaming live on YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, Mixer, and Facebook. You can follow us on Facebook by searching for Tea Party Podcast. That's the letter T followed by Party Podcast, all one word. And on Twitter and Instagram at Marty Abernathy. You can financially support the show by making a one-time donation by going to trans.fm or by becoming a monthly patron at patreon.com/Marty Abernathy. That's MartyAbernathy.
All righty then. All right. So, got to get on my actual. Well, I need that back. So, I'm going to start playing some videos. Tonight, the videos are kind of, I don't know. Thematic, I would say. We're gonna and hopefully, I hope eventually that's what this show actually becomes, is a kind of a rolling theme. But actually, I don't want this to show on the screen. There we go. had one of the other images that I'm going to play actually showed up, and we can just show this, the VLC player. Yeah. So, this is about Juneteenth.
He hell. So nobody sees the hypocrisy in making Juneteenth a national holiday at the same time this country is trying to ban teaching critical race theories in the classroom. Like, what's funny is you don't think students should know that the Emancipation Proclamation is a piece of legislation that didn't mean much in terms of slavery. But you don't want students to learn about how our legal system is steeped with the permanence of racism, and that's on Derek Bell's Space Traders. Because what I've noticed is that a lot of y'all want to talk shit about how we shouldn't be in the past, but you're going to celebrate 1776, the past, for July 4th, but you say that we shouldn't stay out the past when it comes to talking about the 1800s. It's the trick of time that Calvin Warren be talking about. Y'all should look him up. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? But listen, the hypocrisy of democracy is saying that we shouldn't teach students about how our legal system is racialized because, hey, it makes certain people feel bad and guilty. But at the same time, in 2021, we're going to finally make Juneteenth a national holiday. Contradictions, the hypocrisy of democracy, huh?
So, yeah. Oh, man. I don't know why. Music just started coming back, but I needed it. Hopefully we don't get a copyright strike there, but I like using TikTok, especially like with somebody like Conscious Lee. He's amazing, but playing music over that, it can get me in trouble. But what he's saying here is correct, man. It's just like people are having the Juneteenth holiday. It's like MLK. They whitewash it to the point where it doesn't mean anything. In fact, I just realized I forgot a couple videos. How am I going to do this? Because there was a great one that I found just after the show. Actually, that's one, but I'm gonna put that on. This is me doing this on the fly, and I apologize, but it's, to be honest with you, it's important to watch this video. All right. So, let me just bring this into my playlist. So, I'm pretty proud. Actually, I'm pretty proud of how quickly I did that. Because getting ready for the show sometimes is not super easy. But this video, our friend Retro Waves states it perfectly.
Y'all ready for them Juneteenth sales? You know it's gonna be taken over by capitalists pretty soon, right? You can already hear it now. We gave y'all a holiday. We can't make y'all happy at all. This ain't what we fucking asked for, dude. Of all the things they could have fucking passed, they passed this unanimously. There's not a debate about this, but there's a debate about whether or not our lives fucking matter. Dog, get the fuck out of here.
And that's totally on point. You know what's going to happen. It's going to be, it's in capitalism. This is just it's going to end up being something that you can see the sales going on now during Juneteenth. You know it's going to happen. You absolutely know it's going to happen. I can't believe no one's in the chat. All the regular people are not there tonight. What's going on? No Jonathan. No. Did I scare everybody, or did I make everybody mad last time with my talk of religion? I know that upset some people because everybody laughed. I'm going to have strong opinions on this show sometimes. And when it comes to religion, whether you believe it or not, I mean, I do support people to have a religion. At the same time, I don't. Again, I don't want to get into that question all over again, but anyways, I hope that people come back, but I'm not going to apologize for asking questions. So a lot of the stuff that on TikTok that's going on right now, in like Black TikTok especially, there was a girl that made a video. I don't know how old she is. She looks to be a teen, so I could say she's a girl, but maybe she's a young woman. And she said she did this little dance, and she said, "I don't like white people," and you'll see this person at the beginning of this second conscious leave video. You have to understand the context. As always, context is important, but here is part of that video, and someone stitched along a stitch. If you're not familiar with TikTok, basically it's a way that you can add on to the previous video, or you can duet. And I think this was a duet. People did multiple duets. White people did multiple duets, and it's a bad faith question, basically.
I don't like white people.
Okay, but like, why though? Because like, I could be the best friend you never.
That offbeat dancer was brought to y'all via privilege and bad faith, and here's why. See, that little question that you asked, it was ingenuine, and you wasn't asking that for clarification. You was asking that for argumentation, because you want to argue. See, usually I would say there's particular people that never want to be held accountable for what their ancestors did, but they damn sure want to hold on to what their ancestors left for them.
And that is a fucking truth. I mean, you can't argue that. White people will they'll say race happened, slavery happened 400 years ago. I wasn't around then, but redlining wasn't 400 years ago, and it impacted your parents and their grandparents, and their wealth affected your wealth. So yeah, you don't want to, a lot of white people don't want to deal with that. They don't want to deal with that, but they want to keep the benefit. So anyways.
But I ain't even got to give you a historical analysis, because that young woman gave you a personal experience that you obviously just ignored, or you believe it's not justifiable, or talk about it. Yeah, she's the reason for division in our country. Yeah, and they say we're racist.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard that from other white people. In fact, there was a video I didn't have time to bring over, but there was a creator today that asked, "What's the worst thing that you've heard white people say when no one else is around?" And where do I start with that? It's like, what do cis men say when women aren't around? It's awful. It's 10 times more awful than you think. I've heard the most racist things come out when people think that they are in white only spaces. And that's why it's so funny or not funny, but they assume that you're racist too. But that's why it's important to it can be really uncomfortable. And God knows white people don't like to be uncomfortable. I mean, to me, that's part of the reason why they don't like being called racist. And instead of dealing with it, crying about it, basically. But let's continue on with consciously.
The privilege and being able to structure an entire system of power around somebody not liking you on TikTok with no material reality at all. This your feelings hurt. It show you the fragility, its structure, it's embedded in our social reality. And with that passive aggressive offbeat dancing y'all doing, y'all should go to her Cash App and send her
I did, by the way. And you should too, actually. You should too. Because the shit that girl's taking on TikTok, oh my God. White people are so fucking upset. And there is another creator on TikTok, and he had something to say about that, which is right on point as well.
Some of you need to learn the difference between the terms equal and equitable. If a black woman says, I don't like white people, and you're confused about why it's problematic for a white person to say the same thing, it's because the world is not equitable. Therefore, the sentiments cannot be equal.
That's important too, is for white people to understand history, to know history, to accept that everything is not an equal playing field. There's this idea that it's a marketplace of ideas and everybody has the same advantages and everybody has the same place in the marketplace. And that isn't true. It's never been true. And it's not true today.
If all black people en masse decided they didn't like white people, it would still be of no material difference between the power structure.
Yep. If every single black person decided tomorrow that they hated white people, that wouldn't affect white people's lives hardly at all. At all.
Causes racism to happen. A personal feeling, prejudice, or bigotry against a group of people does not create death, destruction, mayhem, and the erasure of those people. Conversely, racism, as it exists in its anti-black form with white supremacy and the power structure, creates death for black and brown.
The way police forces are armies. Who are they fighting? They're fighting people of color, and they're fighting marginalized communities that are out on the streets protesting when black men mainly are the victims of police brutality. The legislation that happens, not people don't want to teach critical race theory. I mean, you can go on down the line. The laws that actually impact black lives. When white people get a hair up their ass and feel like they're being disrespected or they're not liked. It has impact.
People, when white people say, I don't like black people, they make it into legislation that destroys our lives. That's not the same thing. It's not equitable, so it's not equal.
Yep. And people, I mean, the example of this that's the most is how in every February, white people will make Black History Month about them. They will center themselves in it. And you'll hear so many people, they'll say, oh, MLK was or not a racist. They'll say MLK was, he had a dream and it was for all people. And they whitewash MLK.
To all the colonizers who attempt to use Martin Luther King against black people, he said the white man does not abide the law. His police forces are the ultimate mockery of the law. The thing wrong with America is white racism, 1968. However difficult it is to hear, however shocking it is to hear, we've got to face the fact that America is a racist country, 1968. White America has allowed itself to be indifferent to race prejudice. I am sorry to say that the vast majority of white Americans are racist, either consciously or unconsciously. The doctrine of white supremacy was embedded in every textbook and preached in practically every pulpit. There aren't enough white persons in this country who are willing to cherish democratic principles over privilege. Many white Americans of goodwill have never connected bigotry with economic exploitation. Martin Luther King spent his life fighting for black people against white racism. Remember that.
Yeah, it was never about white people. Ever. Ever. And that people have to remember that. There's nothing wrong with that. I do. I absolutely. That was lethal Lex on TikTok. And she's amazing. Her response to the people that got really butthurt with that. This was her response.
Earlier this week, I made a video where I said that Martin Luther King hated white people. After I made that video, thousands of people flocked to my profile to comment. And due to much reflection, I would like to issue the following statement. Hold on, I wrote it down. Thank you for coming to my comment to share your concerns. After much reflection, I want to say, stay mad, stay all the way mad, die mad. Your white tears are delicious and are quenching my thirst. Thank you. If I could think of something more offensive to say, I would say it, but at this time I haven't thought of it. Thank you again for listening.
I absolutely adore Lex. She's amazing. And that is straight to the point. But it got me thinking about
these are things white people say.
It got me to thinking about what allies are. And this TikToker, oh God, I forget her name. I'll say it after this because it'll be up here. But she is amazing, and she posted things white people say and do in my comments that think they are being a good ally, but it's actually just being annoying.
/do in my comments that they think is them being a good ally, but actually it's just like really fucking annoying. When they ask you shit that could honestly more easily and more quickly be answered by a Google search, they're just that entitled to being handheld through it. Why do you need a film major to sit here and spoon feed you through critical race theory? Go look it up. We don't claim them. Somebody has to, and it's not fucking gonna be me. They're making the rest of us look bad. No, they're exposing how much.
That right there. I can't stand it. It's done in feminism. It's done when you're talking about race. White people won't own the racist white people that are in their midst and that they've been themselves. Hell, I admit that I've been a lot of what she's saying I've done.
Racism there already was in your community. Y'all have all.
And saying you don't claim them. Basically, that's like when TERFs or people that will say about TERFs, oh, well, they're not really feminists. Yes, they are. That's a no true Scotsman fallacy. Yes, they are. They're bad feminists. They're not good feminists, but they are feminists. You know, there are things that they support that are good. A lot of radical feminists support a woman's choice. Jordan Joan P joined the chat. Hello, Jordan. I thought I ran everyone off. Thought I ran everyone off in the chat. But like literally, you can't. No true Scotsman. This. I mean, there are feminists that want equal pay. There are radfems. There are TERFs that want that want equal pay or period poverty relief. Those are feminist things. Oh, Jordan Joan P. Apparently, I made everybody mad. Maybe on my last show when I talked about religion. Apparently, religion and politics. We're talking about politics on the show. I'll talk about religion, but apparently, I made some people mad and they didn't come back. But that's okay. That's okay. That's what it's all about. But you can't sit there and say they aren't part of our group. They aren't part of our group. Yes, they are. Own them as being part of your group.
Always looked bad from where I'm standing. Asking questions that they know damn well are racist, but they act like it's different because they asked nicely.
Yeah. This is the whole tone thing. Even if you ask a racist question or a sexist or a transphobic question, if you ask me, what was your name before you transitioned? That's saying it nicely, but it's still transphobic.
No, you still ask me a racist fucking question. When I say something and they're like, oh yeah, this white guy said the same thing, I don't give a shit. I don't care. I'm white, but I would never. I bet you have. I bet you have done whatever you're about to say you would never do. I bet you have.
And that's Down with the Mouse. I don't think that was her. That was always her her sign-on, her username on, but I may be incorrect. But it got me to thinking. I recently played this in our lighter section about this. It was kind of a joke.
Thanks for letting me talk to you about my girl, man. Of course, no problem. I'm here for you anytime. You know what? That's the thing with females. Oh, yo, where'd you go? Where'd you go?
Are you a man who still uses females in conversation? Congratulations, you sound like an idiot, and you will lose all of your friends. Stop today. Paid for by the Better Man's Bureau. Be a better man, not a fucking idiot.
And I thought that was funny and cute and everything, but it got me to thinking about people that say they're feminists. And I saw this post on or I watched this post on TikTok, and I want to talk about some of the things that this guy said.
Here comes the take that's going to get me cancelled, but I don't really care. It's time to talk about how white feminists are weaponizing the men can't be feminist discourse. So first of all, let me just say that the only sensible take on whether or not men can be feminists is, why do we care? Liberal feminism has watered down feminism as a word to an aesthetic and a talking point. And a conversation about whether or not men or male perceived people can be successfully adopting this aesthetic is honestly wasted breath. And as far as I'm concerned, you're either concerned about misogyny affecting people's liberation or you're not, and the label is mostly inconsequential. Anyways, that's not what I'm here to talk about.
That is kind of what I want to talk about. The point that he makes is that he said, first, I want to reiterate what he said. First of all, let me say that I only think the only sensible take here is that why do we care? Liberal feminism is watered down feminism as a word down to the aesthetic and a talking point. A conversation about whether or not men or male perceived people can successfully adopt this aesthetic is wasted breath. As far as I'm concerned, you're either concerned with women's liberation or you're not. The label is mostly inconsequential. Keep that in mind. This is Jasper Johnson 4 on TikTok, by the way.
Liberation or you're not, and the label is mostly inconsequential. Anyways, that's not what I'm here to talk about. A disturbing thing I've noticed is that whenever women, and specifically black women and other women of color, offer the take that men can be feminists, they get dogpiled by supposedly intersectional white feminists. So let's talk about that for a second, because I think one of the things that a lot of white feminists forget about is how fluid the definition of what it means to be a man is in a society that is as defined by intersectionality.
Now, that, to a certain extent, is true. The reality is that if you are not a white cishet male, misogyny impacts you in some form or fashion. If you're gay, there will be people that will perceive you as a receiver of sex in the same way that women receive sex, and they will see you as womanly in that way. Misogyny, again, against gay men are impacted, gay men are impacted by misogyny because of how they are at the core of homophobia is misogyny, because that's what women do. So transphobia also mostly a big component of it is misogyny. Its core is misogyny. I want to play the rest of this video.
As ours is, because ultimately our labels men, women, queer, white are not innate but are determined by our interactions with society. And it's an undeniable fact that black men or male perceived people or queer men are socialized as men or interact with society in a completely different way to cis-het white men.
And that is true. That is true.
People forget that the patriarchy itself is racialized. It allows the weaponization of white femininity to oppress black men in particular. Are you forgetting about Emmett Till, Amy Cooper? Intersectionality is not this additive exchange of oppression and privilege where men always hold male.
Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind for what we're going to talk about next.
Privilege and the ability to dish out misogyny that only applies to cis-het white men. Because the fact is that the intersection of white supremacy and the patriarchy means that in most social spaces, white women act as oppressors of black men and misogyny-affected individuals of color. Now, that's because the patriarchy often weaponizes itself to protect white women. And yes, that brings its problem and is rooted in misogyny, but the consequences of this on black men cannot be ignored. I can tell you as a non-binary person who grew up visibly queer, for lack of a better term, and spent time in a lot of female spaces, there are very few straight women who didn't weaponize their straightness against me somehow. I felt equally as rejected from supposedly welcoming female spaces as I did from male spaces for a long time. Therefore, I can be fairly sure that there probably isn't a single black queer man who hasn't suffered racism or homophobia at the hands of a white woman. Now, I'm not saying that black men or queer men can't be misogynistic and don't benefit from male privilege, but how often does the brunt of that misogyny fall on you as a cis white woman? Because most of the time it falls on black women and queer, especially trans women, who are the ones you keep silencing and dogpiling in these conversations. And then you should be asking yourself, how often does the brunt of your racism and your homophobia and transphobia fall on them? Because I'm not saying that black men or queer men should be called feminists or that they need to be centered in the feminist movement, but my question is, instead of discussing who you're excluding from your movement, how about you address how your place in a racial patriarchy as a white woman impacts those around you? Because while we're having a conversation about how effectively men can adopt the label of feminism, maybe we should talk about how well you're adopting the label of intersectionality.
And so I can't. I don't have. We can actually we can go to TikTok for this. There's an acting challenge on
attempting to kick a ball through a Lamborghini window.
Yeah. No. Actually, we'll drag this over here. Well, no, let's try that again. Because apparently I need to have Firefox. And now Firefox is being grumpy. Stop being grumpy, Firefox. Don't want to drag that one. This one. Why won't you work? Oh. Let's see if I can search. I don't think. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Because basically they had this acting challenge on TikTok. Because you do have a lot of people on TikTok that are like people that think of themselves as actors, right? Hold on. I have to make sure that
This will be the most risky trick shot I've ever attempted. If the ball hits the car...
All right. No, we're not doing that. All right. So I logged in. I didn't want to do it on camera, thinking I might give something up, but I wanted to show you guys something. So there's this thing called, it's an acting challenge, and it's called Crying Challenge. The Crying Challenge. Let's see if I can find it. No. Apparently it won't let me let's see if I can do. Okay, here we go. Let's do this. Live on the air, like trying to find Crying Challenge. Let's try to do this. Okay. So literally there's this acting challenge where you're supposed to cry on cue, basically. And it basically shows, let's see if this is one. You don't give a damn about me. You don't care, you never did. So basically you have a lot of if I can't find it right now. I think it, but there's a lot of people that are doing it where basically they show how easy they can cry. I can't find the video, but there's one that has a ton of women. Let's try this. Whoa. No, I can't. Essentially, you have people crying on cue and white women doing it. And in this context, men have died. I mean, not men. Oh. Mel says, love you, gotta run. Ha. I didn't even know you were watching. But now that you said that you are, or that you're not, I see that you're not. So anyways, if you think of Emmett Till and things like that, white women crying has been weaponized in a bad way. I wish I could show you that, but yeah, I don't have it. Anyways. We got through that video. But it made me think about something that happened a few years ago. There was a guy on, actually we can bring up this now. There was a guy on he branded himself the male feminist. And his name is Jamie Kilstein. He was of Citizen Radio. And him and his partner are both vegan, or now ex-partner. Built up this pretty big audience, progressive audience. And it turned out, this guy was going around self-proclaimed male feminist and comedian and musician Jamie Kilstein was accused of abuse earlier this year, and this was back in 2017, and then dropped from Citizen Radio podcast he co-hosted, and from Don Giovanni Records, who released Jamie Kilstein and the Agenda's 26th album, A Bit Too Much. This past week, Kilstein returned to Joe Rogan's podcast, which he was on 5 years ago. Mostly seems to deny, or at least poke holes in, through a thoughtful interview. He repeatedly rejects the male feminist title. Of course he does. And rebrands himself as an ex-feminist. Well, if you go over and you have a look at Jamie Kilstein, look at this. Feminist author on the new culture wars, Jamie Kilstein, ex-male feminist. This is his brand now, ex-male feminist. This is all about fucking male feminists who had his life destroyed. Oh my God, this is a grifter, and my point tonight is this right here, this right here is why you should never say you're a feminist if you're a man. In fact, I don't think you should ever, if you're in a community where you're looked at as an ally, or you want to be looked at as an ally, you should never say, oh, well, I'm a trans ally. Well, I'm anti-racist. Well, I'm a feminist. If you're a man, you should never say that. You should never, ever say that. Why? Because you're wearing your... First off, you're taking something that doesn't belong to you. You don't decide whether or not you're an ally. The community that you're allying decides whether or not you're an ally. So you should never say, I'm anti-racist. I should never say I'm anti-racist. I should do the work of an anti-racist and let black people comment that I am an ally. That's something I can accept as a label, but it's not something I should use as a label. It's not something to own. It's not something you own. Allies, you don't own the label. You earn the label from the communities that you're allying with. And that's not something that ever ends. It's not something that you ever... It's not a card that you get and at some point that ever ends. The reason Jamie Kilstein had to rebrand was because of the abuse that he was accused of. And this isn't anything, it's not anything new at all. If you look at this from Al Jazeera, the problem with male feminists, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is a perfect example of a problem with men's self-proclaimed feminism. Calling yourself a feminist is easy these days. All you have to do is declare it so. If you stand for equality, then you're a feminist, actor Emma Watson insisted in 2015. Sorry to tell you, you're a feminist. In recent years, anyone and everyone has been encouraged to take up the label, men included. When Canada Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced not only that he was a feminist, but he was going to keep calling himself a feminist until it was met with a shrug, his audience cheered. During a conversation with Melinda Gates last year, he elaborated, saying, "It is so important that we understand it is not only that men can be feminists, it's that men should be feminists as well. You shouldn't be a feminist. You should be an ally. You should be a feminist ally." And that's not something, again, that you should call yourself. It's a title that you should earn, not a title that you wear. This article says, it might sound like progress, but there's a problem with men's proclaimed feminism. In Trudeau exemplifies it. The Me Too movement has not only opened up a conversation about the ubiquity of sexual harassment and assault, but it has successfully held men accountable for their behavior, i.e., like with with Jamie Kilstein. But what men say in public often contradicts their personal and political actions. It is a convenient time for men to claim they oppose things like rape and groping. This is a simple way to demonstrate the female credentials we have been told are effortless to adopt. It is also opportune time for men to point the fingers at others and away from themselves, all while enjoying the praise for coming out in defense of women. Trudeau has, in some ways, walked the talk, calling out other men for sexual misconduct. In 2014, he suspended MPs Scott Andrews and Massimo Passetti from the Liberal caucus on account of harassment complaints made by two female New Democratic Party MPs. But now Trudeau is subject to a scandal of his own, as a story about him groping a female reporter at a 2000 music festival has resurfaced. At the time, Trudeau apologized for his behavior in a rather unapologetic way, saying, "I'm sorry. If I had known you were reporting for a national paper, I never would have been so forward." I'm sorry I did that because you were reporting on a national paper. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And the thing is, you should never call yourself these labels because you don't own them, and you have to continuously earn them. You have to continuously earn them. There was a fellow called Hugo Schweitzer that called himself a feminist. And this is his story.
Hugo Schweitzer, self-proclaimed male feminist, is pretty well known on the feminist blogosphere. He's written for several sites like the Good Men Project, as well as being frequently published by sites like Jezebel, XOJ, the Huffington Post, the LA Times, the Guardian, etc. Let's start off with Hugo Schweitzer himself, because if you've not heard of him, you're probably wondering what he's done to earn such notoriety and hatred within feminist circles. Aside from blogging for several sites, Schweitzer is also a teacher at Pasadena City College, where he teaches gender studies and infamously a porn studies class. He's also written about his past history of alcohol and drug addiction and his mental health. He's been diagnosed at different times with personality disorders, and as well as being bipolar. To let you know why pretty much everyone hates Hugo Schweitzer, I'm going to give you a few examples which highlight his abusive and manipulative behavior, and a massive trigger warning for these following examples. Schweitzer admits in his writing to trying to kill an ex-girlfriend who had been raped by her drug dealer he was in a sort of mood where he wanted to end her suffering. He also refers to her rape as having paid a debt. He later deleted the post from his blog, but have a Google and you'll find plenty of evidence. He wrote an incredibly creepy article about having to help his ex-wife remove her tampon, rather obviously getting off on the fact that she felt incredibly uncomfortable, powerless, and embarrassed in this situation. And what's more, he didn't bother to check with her before he published an article detailing such, an intimate occurrence, which included possibly identifying details of her. Wrote an article in which he mocked the names of his East Asian students. In one article,
I mean, you can do this all day long, and again, it's not Justin Trudeau, it's not just Jamie Kilstein. If you look, Joss Wheaton. People talked about him. I mean, literally. It's not on here, but there was literally a post on The Independent talking about how Joss Wheaton is a feminist from 2015. And 2 years later, what happens? His wife comes out and says, no, He uses relationship with me as a shield so no one would question his relationships with other women or scrutinize his writing as anything other than feminist. So there again, here we are. You know, men that wear the title of a feminist end up doing really bad things to women. So no one should wear the title of an ally. Like I said, it's something that should be earned continuously and not something that's worn for a grift. And you can tell, again, you know, it's for it. We talk about for clout. Each one of these men, the only one that I can't say that Justin Trudeau hasn't changed, but Wheaton still works. And how has he changed? Jamie Kilstein is literally grifting off the fact that he's a ex-male atheist, ex-male feminist, because he can no longer grift on the feminist side. It's an aesthetic for him. It's something that he can use to make a living. And it's just shitty. It's just shitty. Anyways. I found this. Again, another one of my favorite TikTokers. I want to bring up. This is something totally different. It's more on transphobia.
You know what, liberals? I find it very transphobic if you don't support her.
Finally, I've been waiting for a treasure troll to bring this argument to the table. And of course, I have a counter argument. Republicans, I find it par with the fucking course that y'all would support Caitlyn Jenner. Absolutely. Why? Because birds of a bigoted feather continue to stay flocking together. Caitlyn damn Jenner would absolutely be the solitary transsexual person and where you will actively get their pronouns correct.
The one. The one and only trans person that, if that, but if they're going to correctly gender someone that's trans, it's going to be Caitlyn Jenner and Caitlyn Jenner only, because it fits their agenda
every single time. Of course, this is an anticipated checkmate that we've all been anticipating because you all think the same way, just like children who actively deprive themselves of oxygen. That's weird. So of course you would support Caitlyn. But at this point, now we know that it's not about homophobia or about transphobia. You're not scared of anything. You would just prefer people to be uncomfortable and lonely like yourself. I would rather you say that and shake my hand like an adult.
I do think that it's childish behavior, but Novara Media, on the last show I talked about it. They put out they showed polling that said most of the UK supports trans people, and they posted this most recently on their website.
What I reject, however, is the narrative which pits women against transgender people, because one, trans women are women. It doesn't matter that they have a different experience of womanhood to me, because it's not like I've got the same experience of.
Again, this is important to talk about. The experience of womanhood for somebody. Again, this is something that you have to look at it in the sense of patriarchy. The only people that aren't impacted intensely. I'm trying to pick my words. I'm trying to choose my words. The only ones that aren't truly impacted harshly are white cis men. Again, the previous post talks about labels and things like that. And they, in this case, they aren't important. Jordan Joan P in the chat says Caitlin, who sells the trans community for 50 pieces of silver if someone asks. Yes. But when Ash here is talking about the experience of womanhood, you're talking about people that are self-identified as women have different experiences based on other intersecting oppressions. And depressing. So it's always good to keep that in mind.
Womanhood as a white woman does. It doesn't make either one of us more or less women than each other. It just means that our lives have been shaped by really different experiences. But I also reject the framing because it invites us to think of transgender people, and let's be real about this, predominantly transgender women, as being predatory, as being threatening, as being somehow perverted or deviant. And that's why it always comes back to these spaces of toilets and of changing rooms and kind of enclosed
And should I say, it's always this narrative that is not based in reality. There aren't men that are predatory. Are, first off, they see women as objects. They are not going to become that object to have access to that space. They're just going to fucking go. They already do that. In the context of America, let me put it to you this way. A person is not going to worry about a misdemeanor that they're committing to commit a felony. Oh, I'm not going to go in that bathroom. I might get arrested. I'm not going to go in there and rape someone because this law says I can't go in there. It's an absurd thought. Now, I get where it comes from because women, cis women there is a danger, but putting that on trans women is misappropriating where that worry should lie, because cis men aren't using or abusing trans rights laws to invade women's spaces. They always have and always will continue just to do it.
Public/private spaces. And it's the same narratives which were often used in the 1980s when it came to gay people, and in particular gay men. There were all of these moral panics about whether or not you could trust a gay man in the same changing room as you, or a gay man to be a scouts leader, because obviously they were predatory. Now, we all know that there is a tiny, tiny minority of trans people who are predatory. There is a tiny minority of cisgender women who are predatory, but that wouldn't mean that we would advocate banning, say, lesbians from women's changing rooms, or, gay men from, men's public toilets, right? That would be a horrendously discriminatory approach to safeguarding these spaces. People are perhaps exposed to a bit more risk to one another. You look at those spaces and you think about the appropriate safeguards that you need. Now, coming back to this issue of trans access to single sex spaces, to me it seems wholly obvious that you work on the specific safeguards that space needs, rather than discriminating against an already marginalized community who have to navigate discrimination and harassment in their everyday lives.
And Ash posted that, or Ash posted to her Twitter. I don't think this is going to let me pull this over because I don't want to crash my Firefox, but I think my Firefox browser is not working so hot. Maybe I can move it over here. All right. You can kind of see what I was working on. I was looking up drag an example of someone else put is drag. What else is drag other than woman face? And I was like, oh my god, here we go. Women face is not a thing because not all women are feminine. It's a critique of femininity, not of women. Oh God. Drag wasn't founded in making fun of cis women, and it wasn't founded in misogyny. There's so many reasons why that's fucked up. I have a video for that as well.
So one of my lovely followers suggested that I make a video on how TERFs falsely equate the performance of drag to blackface or minstrel shows. So this refers to how many white TERFs are against and offended by drag. They believe that drag queens are mocking womanhood and donning woman face. And they compare this to white actors who wear blackface or minstrel shows. This is such a deliberate and ahistorical misunderstanding of what drag is, not to mention how they conveniently leave out the existence of female and non-binary drag kings and queens. What we consider drag—
It's also appropriation. I mean, you can sit there and talk about, you can talk about trans tokens, but we would never call them, we would never appropriate, like, we would never call someone an Uncle Tom that is a trans person that betrays the trans community. You know, you can call them a TERF token, but I would never appropriate language of another struggle. And that's what TERFs are trying to do here. They're trying to appropriate blackface and the connotations that come with that and make trans women out to be people that are mocking, or even drag queens are mocking women. They're not mocking women, they're mocking femininity. You know, are there cases where some may be? Yes. But as a whole, no.
Today started with the emergence of ballroom culture during the 1920s Harlem Renaissance. This was, of course, during a time where cross-dressing in public was considered a punishable offense. A sort of counterculture emerged. Balls became a place for LGBTQ individuals, particularly people of color, to express themselves freely. And although we can consider drag a form of satire, that doesn't mean it's mocking womanhood. It can be seen as satirizing a specific form of femininity, the opulent and extravagant fashion often worn by upper-class white women. Drag doesn't reinforce gender, but destabilizes it. It shows us how parts of what we consider natural manhood and womanhood are just a set of aesthetics, and how those aesthetics are often tied to race and class, and how people in power can violently gatekeep them. Which is ironic considering how TERFs gatekeep femininity from trans women. And minstrel shows and blackface are not comparable to drag. These things were deliberately used to villainize and dehumanize Black Americans as assertions of white power and privilege. Minstrels were in subculture. They were created to entertain the dominant class and reflect mainstream attitudes. They didn't begin as a challenge to culture.
They were there to make fun of and mock a race of people. Drag didn't do that for gender.
Norms, but as creations of long-standing negative stereotypes. This is one of those areas that shows how TERFs have a shallow understanding of race and LGBTQ history.
I would even say that they're racist and they were appropriating. But that's just me.
Which is again ironic because these are people who claim to be intersectional feminists.
And there's some more reading that you can do on it. But but you get this. This is from Twitter. In the past 12 months, 16% of transgender women have experienced domestic abuse by their partner. For feminists to insist that refuges and rape crisis centers should actually exclude one of the most vulnerable demographics to this particular form of violence is utterly shameful. And you get people like this fella here. A guy pretending to be a woman is not a woman. He is a fake, no matter how much he protests. And no amount of cosmetic surgery or hormones will ever change him into a woman. He will always be a fake. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry for being blunt. And then if you go to this guy's profile and you go to his Flickr, he's a white cis het dude. Shocker. And I said, so you're pro rape of trans women. Got it. Got it. And this person says, I'm surprised, Ms. Sakar, that with your profile and connections that you do not, quote, crowdfund a refuge specifically for transgender women. Surely a better solution to put the greater strain on scarce resources of female refuges. Oh my God. I am so tired of people using female in that way. That is so gross. Again, it's the Star Trek thing, the Romulan thing. Females. Breaking people down and I should move this back over here. Breaking people down into their biology. I mean, it's just gross. Jordan Joan P says, also trans people used drag shows back in the day so they could have a safe space to be women, their true self. Exactly. I mean, it's maddening how people will try to appropriate the language of another oppressed community to basically own the trans. And you can see TERFs are always, that's more than anything, they will throw women overboard on the regular. Let's see if I can find it on Twitter. This is Chrisiosity, but let's see if I can find. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. Tweets and replies. We'll go down here. So when you have you have a bunch of people. I'm trying to find. I had pretty much a citation of somebody had a unicorn lunchbox and it said it's child abuse, sick child abuse. A unicorn lunchbox. A lunchbox trans my kid. I fucking love it. Not just schooled, indoctrinated everywhere by unwitting parents, giving them the imagery that goes along with it. Unicorn love. It's child abuse. Oh God. Oh, for the love of God. I wish I could find it though. You literally have people using yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. Oh, here we go. Here it is. This is exactly what I was looking for. Gender critical women throwing women under the bus to own the trans. They're literally going against a rape. They're going after a rape crisis center, right? Like literally here. And then like literally I said remember when gender critical the gender critical supported Trump even flying to the USA to oppose trans rights? That happened. Linda Bellos. They showed. I don't think I had it. They also supported voting against abortion in Ireland to own the trans, because Irish feminists were trans supportive. They literally, that's all they care about. All they care about is owning the trans. That's it. More than they care about women's rights, more than they care about anything. Speaking of TERFs, I brought this a few weeks back about the whole chest feeding, breastfeeding thing, and motherhood.
Hey, quick question. Have any of your moms had anyone tell you that you can't refer to yourself as a mother? Or if you mentioned that you're breastfeeding, has somebody told you that you can't use that word anymore? Because I'm a proud breastfeeding mom, and those terms feel good for me personally. But if there is somebody who has given birth to a baby or somebody who chooses to feed human milk to their baby, but does not identify as a woman or a mother, or does not feel comfortable with the term breastfeeding for their own personal reasons, you better be damn sure that I'm going to refer to them as whatever feels right for them. Respecting somebody else's identity does not take yours away.
Doesn't cost you.
Language towards others does not mean that you have to change the way that you refer to yourself.
It doesn't cost you a goddamn thing.
Be proud of who you are and let others do the same.
Exactly.
It's really not that hard.
You don't own motherhood. It isn't yours. Anyways, I thought that was interesting. By the way, there was a I don't know how many of you out there watch a lot of Kevin Logan, but he has had oh God, what is, I forget the guy's actual name. He goes by Antifa Cog. Let's see if I can find it. I can't even spell right now. I keep spelling Amazon and Antifa Cog. I forget his name. What's Antifa Cog? Oh my God. He's not. I hope he didn't get kicked off Twitter. That would suck. That would really suck. Oh, there's literally someone on TikTok now that's not Antifa Cog. Oh my God. But he Cog on the routine really does I'm trying to I see his link tree. Let's see if I forget his name. God damn it. I'm trying to find anything that has his actual name on it. But he's a historian and political creator from TikTok. He's got his Patreon on here, which I am going to support right now, actually. He does really good work. He does really good work, so it's worth supporting. That's the thing. I consider a lot of my stuff for Patreon and things like that to literally be, to me, that's mutual aid, and I just put it into my budget as a part of my budget. Jordan Joan P said, I notice a lot of people are going around saying men and females instead of males and females or men and women. Yeah, Yeah, because they don't. Females is very objectifying, and they don't want to objectify themselves. They just want to objectify women. Interestingly enough. But anyways. But this video is amazing by Antifa Cog.
So Benjamin Politics actually blocked me after my last video, and the video he posted after that was this one on trans suicidality.
This is Benjamin Politics on TikTok, and it is part of the kind of IDW-ish side of TikTok, the people that will go around posting these Republican memes, and it's bullshit.
And you're going to want to see what I found out. So let's respond.
Looking at studies on the subject, ones that had at least 1,000 participants, show that experiencing nonviolent discrimination predicts a 10% increase in suicidal behavior. So this is little to show why trans people are 900 times more likely to attempt suicide than cis people.
If you look, there's actually only 2 cherry-picked studies here, one of which goes out of its way to highlight that its results were underestimates. But more importantly, trans people are not 900% more likely to attempt. That's a bad estimate based on these numbers. Basically, the lifetime ideation of trans people is being compared to cis ideation in the past 12 months, giving you this botched 900% figure if you don't know how to read studies.
Also, a majority of the effects in these studies are not statistically significant.
This is someone being tripped up by psychology jargon. Statistical significance is a technical psychological term about confidence intervals. It doesn't mean that the numbers don't prove a link.
Looking at geographical location, there is a correlation with trans suicide rates and trans acceptance in society.
I wouldn't expect a geographic link because discrimination varies even in the same countries, but there is a correlation if you look at ideation rather than attempts using these same studies.
And the research on transitioning itself shows that post-transition individuals actually have a slight increased chance of suicide.
No, these studies weren't even studying pre- and post-transition suicidality. This one says transition decreases the risk, and so does this one.
But the same can be said for social transitioning. This study found that those who completed transition had suicide rates that didn't differ from those who were waiting on transition.
Only social transition. In other words, medical transition is important too, as the study highlights.
So no, nonviolent discrimination is not the main cause of trans suicide rates, and transitioning does not help these suicide rates.
So that's obviously wrong, but I was kind of curious. Where did Ben get all these cherry-picked comparison tables? Well, it turns out he's reading word for word from a WordPress blog called Ideas and Data, and when I say word for word...
Looking at studies on the subject, ones that had at least 1,000 participants, show that experiencing nonviolent discrimination predicts a 10% increase in suicidal behavior. So this is little to show why trans people are 900 times more likely to attempt suicide than cis people.
But okay, he got it from a dodgy WordPress article. I guess that's okay if the guy's blog is a sensible one, right? Let's see what else that guy's written about. Race and political ideology.
Race, IQ, and brain size. Blacks have smaller brains than whites.
Jewish influence on American politics. This should be interesting. But this filtering out of conservative voices was only possible because of the initial capture of American institutions by the left. And this process was the direct result of the inflow of Jews into the American elite.
Racial ancestry and IQ. Thus, racial differences in intelligence are significantly caused by genetics.
Whiter nations in the Americas tend to be more economically free, but they are richer on average, mostly because of their high IQs.
Jews displaced an American intellectual elite, which used to be primarily comprised of liberal Protestants. The
Jews will not replace us. Where did we hear that before?
fall of the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant rule then shifted the elite in a leftist and egalitarian direction.
White people are becoming a minority in this country, and I'm suggesting that it would be helpful to set up a culture which allowed for the creation of something like a white caucus in Congress, white civil rights groups, and a general push against
Again, the Republicans use Nazis. You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up.
White norms. So don't use random right-wing WordPress blogs as your source, and if you do, make sure the author isn't a eugenicist first.
The only thing that
Thank you to Matt and Soraya for
the only thing that I would
helping me with this video. They did some of the readings with me. They're two great creators, and you should definitely go and check them out.
The only thing that I would argue with him on this is that that was accidental. They don't care. They don't care that they use racist. Turn that a little bit. They don't care that they use racist, Nazi fucking propaganda, white nationals fucking propaganda. They don't care. Jordan Joan P in the chat. Cut a transphobic person and a racist please. Yep. Scratch or as that I've seen on Twitter, scratch a turf, find a bigot, find a racist. It's not unusual. The rest of the stuff I have, some of it is related to Palestine, but it's a mishmash. So I'm gonna work my way through it. I'm gonna save that one for Jonathan because it's about landlords and he's not here tonight. So I'll save it. But I wanted to share this.
The phone I'm recording on is a product of labor. Your boss's children that will never have to work a day in their lives, they are a product of capitalism.
There's a, oh my God, here we go. Hold on. They actually have a video. Oh my God. This is from the nib, by the way. This is from the nib.
When your earbuds are $150, but you can't pay your workers enough to not jump off the factory roof. Oh, I am so tweeting that.
An attack on Apple sent from your iPhone? Gotcha! That's capitalism.
Income inequality is one of the greatest injustices in our country.
Hey, Bernie, you say you care about the poor, but you yourself are not poor. You have been defeated by logic.
We should improve society somewhat.
Yet you participate in society. Curious. I'm very intelligent.
Straight to the point. On point. Oh, and they think they're so fucking smart. That's what's funny. Oh, the phone you're recording on is a product of capitalism. So there, I got you. Checkmate. That's so dumb. Oh my God. I love this. This is from Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela, I think, is beginning to be used in the same way that MLK is. I'm sure people will start saying that he was a Republican, blah, 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 blah. But remember, he said this.
If there is a country that has committed unspeakable atrocities in the world, it is the United States of America. They don't care. They don't care for human beings. 57 years ago, when Japan was retreating on all fronts, they decided to drop the atom bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Killed a lot of innocent people who are still suffering from the effects of those bombs. Those bombs were not aimed against the Japanese. They were aimed against the Soviet Union to say, look, this is the power that we have. If you dare oppose what we do, this is what is going to happen to you.
Yep.
Because they are so arrogant, they decided to kill innocent people in Japan who are still suffering from that. Who are they now to pretend that they are the policemen of the world? What I'm condemning is that one power with a president who has no foresight, who cannot think properly, is now wanting to plunge the world
And that's still true, by the way.
into a holocaust. And I'm happy that the people of the world, especially those of the United States of America, are standing up and opposing their own president. I hope that that opposition will one day make him understand that he has made the greatest mistake of his life in trying to bring about carnage and to police the world without any authority from the international body.
And of course, that never happens because the United States is never held accountable for what it does. Ever. Ever, ever. Ever. Ever, ever. Ever.
It is now official that union leader and school teacher Pedro Castillo will become the next president of Peru.
Countdown watch. How long until America invades? Because I think this is going to get the attention of the CIA, and there's going to be, because as I forget this content creator's name. That's the thing about TikTok is they make this thing down here. It's Andreas. I can barely read it. Mally, you're not. But Andreas, it says in this.
Former president of Bolivia, Evo Morales, has congratulated Castillo.
Adam Raindropper in the chat says, so Peru is a wild card. Oh, no, my friend.
And the Peru people for this major victory. There are exciting things happening in Latin America. Some other exciting news is how that the candidate from the Communist Party of Chile is currently first in the polls for the presidential elections this year.
And guess who is leading in the polls in Brazil? That would be Lula.
So with Evo's Socialist Party back in power in Bolivia, Castillo in Peru, this Communist Party in Chile, if they win, in 2022, left-wing party is winning in Colombia for the presidential election, and Lula is leading polls against Bolsonaro for the presidential election in Brazil in 2022.
In October.
So keep your eyes on Latin America.
I believe
exciting things are happening for the left.
Actually, I think the election in Brazil is in October of this year. Anyways, doesn't matter. The fact that Bolsonaro is on his way out, hopefully, unless there's a coup there, which wouldn't surprise me at all. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was supported by the United States and the CIA, because it's not like they've done that shit before. And this tweet, some tweets are so fucking enlightening. Adam says, so if it was at all in the U.S. interest to overthrow Peru now, it would be just to set an example, but it's a bit late for that. I honestly think that you're going to see a concerted effort really soon to say that this election was illegitimate. I hope, Adam, that you're right. Adam says that Latin America has really started to break free. I hope so. But America doesn't take too kindly to that, because they are the policemen of the world. They've decided that for themselves, don't you know? They're the policemen of the world, and they are they seek justice, of course. You have nowhere to get that justice, and in fact, as we talked about on our last show, the squad are getting shit on right now because they are calling out Israel, and the fact that there is no the International Criminal Court is not something the United States uh, uh, will accept as legitimate. And I found this tweet so fucking on fire. It was like, it is such a real burn.
That's suspicious.
So
that's weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
Israel provides no
no, don't want to start that yet. So sometimes I wonder how was possible that the entire Democratic establishment was able to immediately band together and attack Ilhan Omar and the squad, but seemingly procedurally incapable of doing the same to Joe Manchin, like the guy that's literally holding up all of the possibility the Democrats get anything done, infrastructure, and the way it's looking, if they don't get this voting act through, I mean, even if they do get it through, I think the Supreme Court, the way it's put together, will end up being, well, they'll just overturn it. But that being said, Manchin is the one that's holding this all up because he could end the filibuster tomorrow, but he's not going to because he's a fucking crypto Republican. But it is interesting how the rest of the Democratic Party, the Democratic establishment, has no fucking problems going straight after people that are telling the fucking truth. And nobody will talk about it. In fact, today, Tammy Baldwin was on a stream for Americans that live overseas. There is a group on Facebook, basically, for Americans overseas. And I'm on it. And I just pointed out, and I said, and of course they didn't fucking, they took every other comment except mine. But I said that it's strange how the entire Democratic establishment can go after them, after the squad, for saying something that's demonstrably true. The United States is a terrorist state. Jamie J in the chat, and man, all the regulars are filing in late. Jamie J, I've got 3 demerits here for you. Welcome to the chat. But yeah, I mean, like, they literally, there's nothing they can do to Joe Manchin, like, not even putting any pressure on him. And it just shows you where the priorities are. It shows you where the fucking priorities are. Anyways, speaking of Israel, there were a couple of videos on here that I found interesting. One of the big memes that the Israel lobby will, and the Israeli government will shop around, is that there are that they hide people. Jamie, I was just kidding. Jamie says, I don't get notifications pushed to my phone or anything. I just show up when I'm able. That's fine. I was teasing. Seriously. I'm just glad you're here. I thought maybe I did something to push people away with the last show and that people were mad at me. But anyways, like Israel, they always say that Hamas is hiding among targets. First of all, if they're doing that, they have a massive army. They could literally go in to where these people are being used as, quote, human shields. But it's just a lie. And here's
Israel provides no evidence that there are human shields. So far, the best they can do is share these photoshopped images. See, the building is red. That means Hamas is there. You know, for all of Israel's sophisticated surveillance technology with eyes over every single inch of Gaza, you'd think that they'd be able to produce more than cartoons and doctored graphics. In fact, the only proof they have provided so far are fake videos of Hamas rockets in residential areas. On May 15th, the IDF published a video of an Israeli training operation using a Hamas decoy, but claimed it was an actual Hamas missile launcher near civilians. In another lie, Netanyahu's spokesman tweeted a video claiming it was Hamas firing rockets next to an apartment building. Turns out this was a video from 2018 in Syria. So where's the actual evidence?
They have fucking drones. They can have these bombs that literally have a fucking camera on them showing them going down and exploding. Somehow, magically, they can't show the proof of people being used as human shields, and they can't do anything other than drop bombs about it.
If they cannot provide any, their claims...
What happened? Oh, that one's part one. So yeah, it's complete bullshit. And what's going on right now? Like literally, you can't forget about Gaza. I've been lately. I don't give. There have been a bunch of people, especially that I've seen. How should I put this? Minority community creators on TikTok talking about how people are asking them to talk about, and it's mainly come at a time when people are talking about Gaza. They say, well, we're not educated about this. Then you should boost creators. In fact, there was a TikTok that I put up. Adam Rainstopper in the chat says, if I robbed a bank and took hostages as human shields and they came and mowed down my hostages, even the cop living fash would be mad about that. Yeah. But somehow that's an excuse in Israel, because I think it has something to do with the location, and we are far enough away that seems to be a justifiable excuse. We aren't seeing it. And why aren't we seeing it?
Zaina Halawani is an accredited Palestinian TV reporter with Al Kufiyya TV. She and her cameraman Wahbi Maki were arrested a week ago in Sheikh Jarrah while covering the ongoing cleansing of Palestinians from their homes in occupied East Jerusalem. After 5 calendar days in detention, she was released, and now she's here. Zaina, thanks so much for sharing your experience and message here. First, let's go back a few.
So I don't want to capitalize on this this person's video. I don't want to play the whole thing, but
تبعي. ففي هاي اللحظة وأنا عم بنتظر المصور بعد هذا الإشي أجل.
Well, actually, I'm going to turn this down. I'll just read it. We can read it together. The officer came, and an officer of occupation forces. He came and started to tell me that if I don't leave within a few seconds, he'll arrest me. And look how they treat her. But he didn't even give me those few seconds. I had taken my I had to take my hand mic and my tripod that were on the street. But he did not give me the chance to go and take them. I mean, he spoke to the female officers within milliseconds, arrest her. So I started defending myself, which the accusations were leveled against me that I assaulted the two female officers. Doesn't look like she's assaulting anyone. You know, and these are fucking reporters in Jerusalem. That's why you don't know about the human shields, is because they control all the fucking media in and out. They're arresting fucking journalists. And for those that thought, oh, it was Netanyahu, the guy that replaced him, guess what? Netanyahu out, and on day one, the new leader, they're bombing Gaza. Listen to Palestinians when they tell you that no matter who is in power, they'll keep killing us. Jamie J says, Adam says, holy fuck, her fighting back is vicariously empowering. I'll go back. I'll go back to that. I want to share something. Let me see if, because she talks about it. Here we go. So, she was in there. She said, my job as a reporter is like any other job in the world. It is my right to be protected as a Jerusalemite journalist. There should be calls for laws that protect the occupation forces from arresting us and preventing us from being directly attacked, to stand up for us. I also want to draw to your attention they incarcerate minors. This is a humanitarian case. Children are torn away from their families. Sienna, you described the oppression and the intimidation of the Israeli soldiers and the Israeli system. In that context, in the face of that, what is the significance of this smile? And at the time of arrest and at the time of detention. And she said, well, when you smile in front of your enemy, it shows how vulnerable or weak they are. So when I was smiling, I was mocking the situation. Look at her. Because I had really done nothing wrong. I had done nothing wrong to implicate myself. I was also threatened because I was smiling. I was told that I will not work as a journalist again, which was the most frequent threat made against me during my detention. I was just worrying about my future, that I may never work in the field for which I studied at university for many years. But that threat was so serious. Because that threat was so serious, the threat came from an officer who was extremely furious. He said, I will never allow you to work in your field again. And in court, I was not waiting to be granted my freedom, but rather I wanted to know whether I'd end up having my press card confiscated or if they would bar me from working in Jerusalem. That was my biggest fear. Honestly, my smile was to show I'd done nothing wrong. That it was totally arbitrary to arrest a working journalist. The smile, you see it everywhere in Jerusalem. Anyone who is arrested, their smile mocks the occupier. The power that arrests mocks the power that arrests elderly persons and assaults them. Thank God. We are in Jerusalem and will remain. We will remain steadfast. We will not compromise. We won't deny that we are worn out because Jerusalemites are exhausted. The occupation forces keep trying to exhaust us and defeat us. But we will keep going. And our smiles are eternal. No arrest can terrorize us. So I thought that was fucking brilliant. Adam said, when there's 50 of them and one of you, they're not armed and they're armed and you're not, you won't get away, but you bite, scratch, kick, headbutt, anything you do to them, it demoralizes and humiliating, make them ashamed at how pitiful their cause really is. And that's true. That's true. Jamie said, I forget that just shoving kids in cells isn't normal outside the U.S. Well, and it's become something that's literally on the right. I feel like we're coming to a place where it really is this divide between people that believe in human rights and people that don't. Anyways, this has been kind of a heavy show. So I wanted to end with some palate cleansers a bit. And I encourage you guys, Adam and Jamie and others that didn't watch the first part of the show. We had a really good discussion on why I don't think that people should call themselves feminists. People shouldn't call themselves allies, ultimately. And I had an in-depth conversation about that. But essentially what I said is that ally is something, it's a tag, it's a label that you should not appropriate for yourself, but that you should be given to from the community that you're allying with. Otherwise, it's just a label that you're trying to grift off of. But you should go back and watch that. Also, for y'all that are in the chat, please, please, please click like. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe. Because we are at 60 subscriptions. I want to get to 100 so I can get the Tea Party its own URL, and I have to get to 100. So if you can pass this around, if you can invite a couple people to subscribe, I would appreciate it. If you like what I do here and you want to help, that's one way that you can really do it, is to, because right now I just want to get up to 100. Help grow the channel. That would be really helpful. By the way, I just want to remind you, I care about babies, and I want to see less abortions. So with that in mind, oh fuck. My dad always said I'd fuck up a shit sandwich.
You have to stop being straight. Straight sex is the #1 cause for abortions. And that's not what God wanted. But you can choose your sexuality.
Save the babies!
Zaina Halawani is an accredited
Oh dear.
You have to stop being straight.
Save the babies! Have gay sex!
Straight sex is the #1 cause for abortions. And that's not what God wanted. But you can choose your sexuality.
Jesus said, have anal sex. Did I just get cut off?
So choose gay for the babies.
Do it for the babies! Also, I love this. This is a minute and a half, the history of the world. I think it's funny as shit.
In, now you can buy your way out of hell. That's bullshit. This whole thing is bullshit. That's a scam. Fuck the church. Here's 95 reasons why, said Martin Luther in his new book, which might have accidentally started the Protestant Reformation. You know what would be magnificent, said Suleiman wearing an onion hat? What if the Ottoman Empire was really big, which it is now? What if Russia was big, said Ivan, trying not to be terrible? Portugal had a dream that they controlled the entire Indian Ocean, including the spice trade. And then that dream was real. And Spain realized that this is not India, but they pillaged it anyway. Damn, said England and France. We gotta start pillaging some stuff. Then the Dutch revolt and all the hipsters moved to Amsterdam. Damn, said Amsterdam. We gotta start pillaging some stuff. Question 1, can you get to India through North America? No, but at least there's beaver. Question 2, steal the spice trade. That's not a question, but the Dutch did it anyway. Guess where all the sugar's made? In Brazil. Stolen. In the Caribbean. And it's so goddamn profitable, you might forget to not do slavery. The next thing on Russia's to-do list is to get bigger. Britain and France are having a friendly discussion about who should control the entire world, more specifically, Ohio. Then it escalates into a 7-year discussion, giving Prussia a chance to show Austria who's boss. But what about Britain and France? Did they figure out who's boss? Yes, they did. It's Britain. Guess who's
Oh my, it was really worth the money. That control over Ohio.
broke? Also Britain. So they start taxing the hell out of America. Fuck you, says America, declaring their independence and fighting for it. And France helps them win. Now France is broke. And Britain will have to send their prisoners to a different continent. Wait, if France is broke, why do the king and queen still wear such fancy dresses?
Jonathan, this is for you. Oh, hold on. God damn it.
Let's overthrow the palace and cut all their heads off, said Robespierre, cutting everybody's head off until someone eventually got mad and cut his head off. You could make a No, don't. Haiti is starting to like the idea of a revolution, especially the slaves, who free themselves by killing their masters. Why didn't we think of this before? Wait, who's in charge of France now? Said Napoleon, trying to take over Europe. Luckily, they banished him to an island. But he came back. Luckily, they banished him to another island. There goes Latin America, becoming independent in the Latin American Wars of Independence. Britain just...
No, Johnny Cakes didn't show up tonight. By the way, here's my last palate cleanser. I thought this was absolutely hilarious because I'm like 4.
Simply grab yourself a fresh stick of
No, I'm not 4. More like 10.
butter, and using our patent-pending firm grip design, place the butter directly onto the center spikes. Then, simply go to town buttering your corn on the cob from top to bottom. No matter what your technique is, get the job done this summer when you use the Cobb Quickie.
I'm not going to play that part because he asks Amazon to add the the Cobb Quickie. Oh dear, that's disturbing and funny. I want that just to take it. Well, I don't go to family picnics anymore, but I would love to take that to family dinners. Make everyone uncomfortable. Oh, it's so wrong, but yet so right. Kind of like this show. Or.
Ding, ding, ding. What do we have for her, Johnny?
Oh, Lord have mercy. So, my camera's still pretty fucking dark. Got black on. I've been working on the graphics. I think things are getting better, and I have new lights in here. I want to get some stuff for back here, actually. I do have some stuff already, but I want to include it into so the ambiance is a bit better. But yeah, I'm digging it. I feel like I'm getting things where I want them. It's almost there. I'm getting there. Jamie J says, my favorite Napoleon story is that he once sent a letter to Proudhon asking what he wanted in society in an attempt to win favor of anarchists. Proudhon's response, I want to live in a society in which I would be guillotined as a conservative. Oh dear. Yeah, that is awesome. Speaking of which, I'm gonna save it for the next show, but landlords are being really shitty. Shocking stuff. By the way, you can hop into our Discord if you want to have a little chat during the show. You literally can pop in. We now have a green room right here. And you can actually be on the show if you want. So I will add a Discord link to yes, Adam. We do have we do have a Discord. In fact, I'll put it on I'll put it in the link tree here after the show. It literally you can get you get shown as a Patreon supporter. Now I'm wondering, it just says Patreon supporter in the Discord. I'm wondering if there's something, I'm trying to think tea related, that we could show, that we could call the supporters of the Tea Party. Think about this, because I'm going to use it going forward. But people that are supporters, like a label for you guys, like teetotalers or, well, whatever. But I want to make a delineation, but I am going to open up the Discord to the public. So if they want to come in and talk, you can. Teabags. It's funny. That's hilarious, Adam, because most people wouldn't want to be called teabags. Like people that support us on Patreon, but everybody that's a patron, I don't. The only person that I think might be object is maybe Leto. But even she. Jamie says, I am a teabag. I'm here for it. That's so awesome. Yeah, I definitely, yes, I will do that. Make it a custom role for patrons. Oh my God, you guys kill me. Oh my God. That's teabags. I have a funny story about that. I ruined my son's childhood. He was 18. He was 17, 18. And I told him what teabagging was. He had to learn somehow. I mean, I didn't show him pictures, but I actually just told him what it was. Should it be teabaggers? By the way, my son's 30 now, so it wasn't a child. I was just, it was the first time. It was the first time that actually I had gotten drunk in front of him, which was funny. Oh my God. Did your son, Jamie J asked, did your son never play a video game? Well, I don't even, he was born in 91? Or no, 1990. I don't know. He would be a millennial, right? I think. I always get confused with that. I think millennials go up to 96. Well, Jamie, he knows what teabagging is now because I told him. But yeah. By the way, yes, Jamie J. I know I'm old. 80 to 99. I thought it was 80 to 96. Anyways, so Gen Z Yeah, Jordan Joan P in the chat says 1982 to 1996, but it depends on who you ask, says Adam, and I agree with that. But I think the general consensus is it's 82 to 96, and then there are people that from 96 to 99 that don't want to be considered Gen Z. I think that's what it is. Yes, I am old. I am aware. It's funny because I am Gen X, and Gen X is just Jesus. Mostly they're people that just fucking never have really had a voice because the baby boomers outnumber them, and I believe Gen Z and millennials also outnumber Gen Xers by quite a bit. But I find it funny because Gen Xers are generally just like not heard from, not cared about. Your opinion is not needed. Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, I'm kind of sad because I have this voice and I never use it. Or this.
Thank you for your patronage.
Jordan P says Wiki states is 81 to 96. So there, Pew Research. I should probably use this. Exterminate. I love that one. Exterminate. So Jordan Joan P.
That is correct.
You are correct. I think it is 81 to 96. But anyways, I know that I'm not a millennial. I just thought since it's millennial, that meant that it were people that were born after 2000, but it's not. I was wrong. I'm Gen X, and apparently my opinion doesn't matter. So, yeah. If you don't think that Wikipedia or Pew Research is right, then
Can you shut the fuck up?
there's nothing better than being told to shut the fuck up by SpongeBob. I'm sorry. I am sorry. Yeah, unfortunate. Well, the upside of being Gen X, by the way, Jamie says that Gen X is from 65 to 1980. So the upside to being Gen X is not being a fucking boomer. I made it by 2 years. I was born in 67. By the way, I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but my mom is not a nice person. My mom is a very toxic person. My mom lied to me about who my real father was. I always kind of knew it. But she would gaslight me all the time when I would ask her. And I almost felt bad for asking because it made me feel crazy in a way, like I was insane for thinking this. But I just always felt like that Russell, the man that she married, was not my dad, was not my biological father. And when I transitioned in 2000, I found out I was adopted. And I asked her, and because basically I went into the Indiana Department of Health to get my birth certificate changed, because in Indiana, self-identification is a thing, and you can have your birth certificate changed by simply going to see a judge, get your name and gender changed, and whammo, it's done. That's what kills me. I did that in 2007. 2007, 14 years ago almost. I think it probably is. I think because it was around this time of year. And they're like, I was watching people going in and out of the Department of Health. And this is something that usually takes about 20 minutes, judging on all the other people that were going in and out. And this woman finally comes in after 2 hours I was sitting there. Basically, I went back into the the office. She waved me back in. And guess what? She says, "I'm sorry. I apologize so bad. But we keep the adopted people's birth certificates in another location." And I said, "Adoption?" And she's like, "You didn't know?" And I was like, "Nope." And I told her that I was shocked but not surprised. But when I asked my mom about it, she said that she said that it was something. Jamie J, I was watching people going in and out, and this is usually something that takes 20 minutes. Story of my life. But I found out I was adopted, and basically I went back to my mom and asked her, like, "Oh, this would be her chance to actually tell the truth." Did she? Nope. She said, "Oh, that's just what happened when you were born out of wedlock back then," which was true. That was plausible. But come 2018, when I moved over here and I no longer talked to her, I just on a whim did an ancestry DNA test, and I found my dad, my bio dad. And finding him there was a lot of closure for me. But at the same time, I realized that my birth was something that my mom was ashamed about. How I came into being. I have a feeling that she didn't know who he was. She did a lot of drinking at the time. He was an alcoholic as well. So what I'm getting at is basically I wasn't planned. I was a mistake. And it's one of those things where I've had to create my own kind of purpose in life, because basically one parent didn't know about me, but my other parent was ashamed of my existence and tried to lie me into being another person's child, even though I knew it wasn't the case. So I've realized, like, a lot of this stuff, where you fall and what you are, what you're defined as, baby boomers or whatever, or it doesn't fucking matter. What matters is what you do in the world. Who you are is defined by what you do, what you think, and what you say. So, I mean, you can look at it. It's okay to look at trends. It's okay, but you aren't defined by these things. You're defined by who you are as a person, not and what you do as a person. Not by, I mean, in some ways, this shit's like astrology. You know, baby boomers do this. Jamie J in the chat says, "Who am I is gay." Yes, and you're probably one of those people that buy this thing, this corn thingy. I seriously want to buy one. It's got spikes in it, so you can put the butter goes into the spikes. I just want to make people uncomfortable at picnics. I mean, that's all there is to it. I am so immature. Oh, I love it though. Anyways, if you want to help the show, what can you do? What can you do? What can you do? I am going to do it right now. So, if you're with me here, let me see. I want to put a Discord link. I'll do it in a minute. If you go to Tea Party Podcast in about 20 minutes, I'll have it up there. The link to the Discord will be at Tea Party Podcast in about 20 minutes. I'll put it up there as soon as I get done with this show, which I'm getting ready to end. Let's see what we're going to do, because I don't know what my schedule is this week. I think I don't know how to use my phone, apparently. Saturday, I'm doing a long day at work, but you get a show because I'm going to do it when I get home. Yeah, so we'll have a show on Friday. It's going to be our patron show. So if you're a patron of the show, even for as you can teabag for as literally you can become a teabag for literally $1 a month. Teabag for only $1 a month. That is a deal. You guys kill me, because I am gonna. That's what I am gonna make it instead of Patreon support if I can. I have to figure out how that all works, but you guys, that's what I like about this too. Though is this community is growing and defining itself, and that's what I kind of like. I want it to be kind of like in a way that I tried to build Trans Advocate into a community resource that was kind of built by its users, so they got to kind of decide what it is, because I think that those are the best communities, not ones that tell you what's cool and what's not. ContraPoints. Anyways. Yeah, so anyways, I'm going to end the show. If you want to help with some mutual aid, go to charitylinks.page. I'll do it. I'll do what Jonathan isn't here to do. I think. Let's see. Let's see if that's right. To be honest with you, I don't know. God damn it, I can't click on it because I'm fucking. I think that's it though. Oh well, I know it's it because I bought the URL for Jonathan, but I don't know if it's HTTPS. Being cool isn't cool anymore. We're living in post-modernity now. Did Jordan Peterson say that? I kind of I always laugh when people talk about Jordan Peterson being this person that they want to follow in the right. The guy literally, yeah, cool. I wasn't sure if it's HTTPS, but it is. Jordan Peterson and his followers, I mean, literally, like, if you look at pictures of him, like now he looks miserable. He can't sleep. He's like he's addicted to all these drugs or whatever. He's trying to get off of them. The guy's a fucking mess, man. And this is the person the where you should learn the rules to live by. Okay. I always just find it mildly ironic. It's like being post-ironic with modernism makes me happy, says Jamie J. Yeah. By the way, I have been, whenever I do play, I am the worst fucking call. Here's another rant. I didn't know in Call of Duty, I have a friend, and every time I say Call of Duty, it reminds me of poop. But it's because a lot of shitty people in there. But I love Call of Duty for some unknown reason. I don't know why. Don't judge me too harshly. Any first-person shooter, Battlefield, I love as well. A friend told me, a colleague at work, that people pay for cheats in Call of Duty. Like, and there's not a lot you can do about it. And I'm like, how much of a fucking... You're paying to cheat on a game. Why? Why? Why are you paying to cheat? I mean, there are times when I've cheated, but my cheats were like, I cheated on Pokemon Go. I visited places because you could manipulate your GPS in Android and literally go to these places that you didn't actually have to get out and walk to. I did that for a while. I'm not going to lie. I cheated that way. But I didn't pay for it. And I wouldn't. Like, to me, that just seems like the most pointless thing in the world. You're paying for a game that you want to rig so that it makes you feel better about yourself through money, through cheating. How does that make you feel better? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. But I will be doing Monday streams again. Call of Duty, maybe. I heard that there is a new Battlefield game coming out. I think it was the second Battlefield game. I liked it the best because there was an Italian Adam Rainstopper. Oh my fucking god! Rose put one of those strings on this guitar backwards. Okay. I am so old. I am so old. Because when Adam was saying that, it reminded me. I like watching. One of the things I have guilty pleasures. One of the things I like watching is Rick Beato. He talks on YouTube. He literally talks about music a lot. music theory and he has a series called What Makes a Song Great. And they're really good. I really like them. He breaks them down into a lot of the music stuff. I realized early on that music is a lot like math, and I hate math. So yeah, I fell out of love with music. I mean, I love music. I love it as a writing art, and like as a creative thing. But the math that's involved with it, the chord progressions and all that stuff, is very analytically driven, and that's not something that I am. So I had to kind of give up music when I say that in front of a fucking keyboard. Jamie J in the chat says, I used to listen to a cute boy ramble on about music theory. Then he went on to become the drummer of the Smashing Pumpkins. Well, she said that's a true story. Well, at least he didn't become the lead singer. Dick! Oh. A fake Boston accent, Adam talks about. Just reminds me of my friend Ethan would talk about going to the car, going to Bar Harbor. It was funny because he would talk to me for a long time, and it's a form of code switching, I think. Because when he would talk to me, his accent would get less. Jamie says, to be honest, he left the band over creative differences. Yeah, the difference is he wasn't a dick and the lead singer was. I'm betting. But yeah. Yeah. Not I think Pumpkins had a couple good songs, but I learned early in life. I'll tell you another story. I hope I'm not boring you guys, but a story from my life. My grandfather was a piece of shit. He was a Klansman. He cheated on my grandmother. He did a lot of horrible things in his life. He was a piece of shit. He was also the only person that nurtured me. He told me all the time I was going to do great things with my life. It's funny that helping being a part of helping to get Barack Obama elected in 2008. That was something that I don't think he ever probably saw me doing. But loving that part and being thankful for that part of him is something that I actually watched a documentary. I think it was called Hitler's Children, and it talked about the children of people like Heinrich Himmler. I'm trying to see if I can find it. Yes, I found it. I sent this email to one of the people that was on this documentary for Hitler's Children. It was a niece of, and her name's Katrin Himmler. I said, I recently watched Hitler's Children on Netflix, and I wanted to thank you for being part of that documentary. I have very little German heritage and no Jewish heritage, so you would think that I couldn't relate to what you said a lot in the film. I can't possibly understand the scale of the family trauma that you suffered, but I think I can understand some of what you said and relate to it. My grandfather, who we called Pop or Poppy, was a Klansman, a wife abuser, and a philanderer. I mean, like literally, he would come in from work, and if dinner wasn't on the table when he got home, he would be pounding the table, calling her a effing B, and saying, "I only expect you to have dinner on the table. That's all you do, and you can't even do that. You effing B." He was just awful. He was a dark and awful person in many ways. But I grew up in a very abusive / neglectful household, and he was the only person that nurtured me. I remember him saying to me, "Marty, I know when you grow up, you're going to do something with your life. You're going to be someone." That may sound rather tame, but to someone that was as neglected of a child as I was, it was like manna from heaven. His love and nurturing, I believe, saved my life. I did do something with my life. I don't ever imagined it would be helping elect a black man president of the United States, but I served as a state delegate at the National Convention for Obama and served on his LGBT steering and policy committee in 2008. I've married and have grown children. I'm mostly happy with the life I've lived. But I know that without Poppy's love, I wouldn't have been able to survive and grow into the person I am. In many ways, he was an awful, flawed man with hatred in his heart. But there was love there too. If he taught me anything about life, it's that people are complex, gray creatures, black and white, evil, good people don't exist. Humans are complex, and many times they are broken and do awful things, but they can love some as they destroy others. That's the reality of the human condition. I can love what my Poppy gave to me while admitting he was a hateful, despicable human being. I can love and dislike him at the same time. I said, I'm not sure what you're saying, but that's what I heard you say. And if it is, thanks for saying it. She wrote back to me and said that yes, that's exactly what she was trying to say, and that not a lot of people can understand that. But that I feel that way with music in a way. I feel like that there's a lot of art out there that is shit, or that's good, but the people that made it are shit. Woody Allen. And I won't support Woody Allen at the box office. I won't see his movies anymore. I haven't really had a push to. But like there's certain things that, like, if I could go to the library and take them out at the library, I would do that. But other than that, I'm not going to financially support people I think that are assholes. But if it's on a streaming service or something like that and I want to listen to it, I think that's really not helping them a whole lot. But yeah. So anyways, you can music can be problematic. People that make music can be problematic, but you can still love some of the music. Jordan Joan P, I think, made a mistake here. She said she wants to launch Woody Allen into the sun. I think maybe she wanted to launch him into the sun, but I'm not sure. How would you launch him? Would you like maybe make him into a Woody Allen souffle? It doesn't sound very good. And Jamie J says, kill all your heroes. Yeah. I have one hero, by the way. Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan. Well, Woody Allen's rich, so you could eat him. Ha! Checkmate. Anyways, I will see all you teabaggers later. Thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. But yes, exactly, Jamie. Carl Sagan is dead. So, yeah. You can't, I mean, if you're going to have heroes, make sure they're dead and you know all their history. Hell, somebody could still come out. Actually, Carl Sagan's wife is amazing in her own right and continues on with his legacy. One of the best things that I've ever heard him say, that he was so prophetic. My son and I shared a book. Jamie says, co-opt the shit out of Carl Sagan for your political convenience. I actually, what he said for in a demon haunted world is just, it's absolutely prophetic. I want to see if I can find out. Science is not only compatible with spirituality, it's a profound source of spirituality. For me, it is far better to grasp the universe as it is rather than to persist in delusion, however satisfying and reassuring. This is the quote that really gets me, though. I have a foreboding of an America in my children or grandchildren's time when the United States is a service and information economy, where nearly all manufacturing industries have slipped away to other countries, when awesome technological powers are in the hands of the very few, and no one representing the public interest can even grasp the issues, when the people have lost the ability to set their own agendas or knowledgeably question those in authority. When clutching our crystals and nervously consulting our horoscopes, our critical faculties in decline, unable to distinguish between what feels good rather than what is true, we slide almost without noticing back into superstition and darkness. The dumbing down of America is most evident in the slow decay of the substantive content in the enormous influential media. The 30-second sound bites now down to 10 seconds or less, lowest common denominator programming, credulous presentations on pseudoscience and superstition, but especially a kind of celebration of ignorance. It's like, fuck, man. So on the money. Carl Sagan died in 1997. But that is so fucking on. And this, I mean, he said this about the skeptic movement. He said the chief deficiency I see in the skeptic movement is its polarization, us versus them, the sense that we have a monopoly on the truth, that those other people who believe in all those stupid doctrines are morons, that if you're sensible, you'll listen to us, and if not, to hell with you. That is non-constructive. Does not get our message across. It condemns us to permanent minority status. I think that's fucking true, man. But that's literally the atheist community as a whole. The skeptic community. He said, if we can't think for ourselves, if we're unwilling to question authority, then we're just putty in the hands of those with power. But if citizens are educated and form their own opinions, then those in power work for us. In every country, we should be teaching our children the scientific method and the reasons for the Bill of Rights. With it comes a certain decency, humility, and community spirit. In the demon-haunted world that we inhabit by virtue of being human, this may be all that stands between us and the enveloping darkness. So fucking true. So true. Sadly, it's a flame that I think's going out and it's going the wrong way. But anyways, we'll save that for another fucking show. Jordan Jones P says, "Wait, what did Carl Sagan do? Well, other than be awesome, I was just saying he's dead, so I can claim him as a hero, and he's not going to come back and do something awful like every other hero. Just if you're going to have heroes, make sure they're dead or a sandwich." With that, have a good night, everybody.